click the link that, okay. Today is February 28th, 2024. Calling the Community Preservation Committee meeting to order. Members present are myself, Gina Guasconi, Chair, Carlton Hunt, Vice Chair, Harry Bailey, William Smith, Jeff Merriman, Maureen Manasian, and Patrick Driscoll. Okay, first on the agenda, excuse me, I can't talk, agenda is Chair's announcements. I think most of our committee, if not, I should say all the committee is very conscious about attending meetings. I just want to say if you can't for some reason attend the meeting, to let Josh and myself know. We have a lot of important votes coming up, a lot of important things coming up that it's important we try to have everybody there. The next thing, and we'll talk more about it when we get to it, but I just want to thank Josh for all his work on the final reports that he's putting together, and Carlton for all his work on the policies and procedures. I know you've heard that for months that we have them, and you should have received from Carlton what we think is the best possible draft. So I want to thank both of them for their hard work. Okay, public comment. I don't think we have any public here. Nope. Okay, so moving on to approval of minutes for January 24th. Josh had sent those out as well.
And I believe I was there at that meeting and I was marked, I wasn't, but I was on my phone, so maybe it came in differently.
Okay, Josh, can you add that in?
Yep, that's an easy edit.
Okay.
And,
Thank
and
you, Maureen.
Josh, I saw a couple of tiny Scribner's errors. I'll send them to you. It's just a missing word and something else. I'll send them to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Okay, but nothing that will change the intent of the minutes, Carlton?
No content.
Okay.
I was also in the meeting via phone. I'm not sure if that got noted.
I will, I'll note that as well. Sorry about that.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, good. Okay, do we have a motion to accept them with those changes and additions?
So moved as amended.
Okay, a second?
I'll second.
Second, Harry.
Okay, thank you, Harry. Discussion? Okay, roll call, Josh?
Gina,
Yes.
Carlton,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes.
Pat. Pat, you're on mute.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, great, thank you. We don't have a financial report as of January 31st. Laurie Garini, our acting finance director, she knew she still had to send it to me. She went home sick today. She tried to do it from home, but she couldn't. But she said basically the only thing that changed was income from taxes that came in before February 1st. She, at our last meeting, we had voted to rescind the funds for the Central Square Congregational Church. So she made that adjustment. She closed out the account for that and they added the money back into the pot it came out of, which was historical. And that brings that $583,395. The 200,000 from the rescinded funds for the church went back into that. But she will get us the report. She said she'll send it tomorrow. She's back into work and we can get it out to everybody.
That also means we have
She
about,
sent her apology.
excuse me a second, that also means we have about $1,540,000 that's in the various accounts that have never been appropriated.
Good, thank you, Carlton. Any questions or comments on the financial standing? Okay, hearing old business, policies and procedures, as I said, that's been on our agenda for a while. It's been a living, more than a living document. Carlton has put a ton of work into it. We've got input from the town manager, the finance director. I worked with Carlton on edits and adding things in. So he sent it out, I think the end of last week, Thursday, Friday, I think Friday, with some instructions on what to do. So I'm going to let him take over right here and talk about it.
Okay, thanks. First question is, has everybody had a chance to read it, or at least get started on it? Well, Josh, I'm going to share screen right now, if you don't mind.
Yep,
I just have to remember how to do it.
it's the green button on the bottom.
All right, there we go. And now I'm going to go to here. So what I want to do tonight, we don't need to vote on it tonight, but I just wanted to highlight some of the changes that have occurred. I think you guys saw it, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and I can't see the screen, so all I can see is my report. So if people have questions, just jump in. One thing we did on the cover, we changed the, can you see it? That's the first thing.
No.
Oh,
All right.
There you go.
Okay, now what can we see and not see? Oh, I see. I'll get there, guys. I'm a little slow. There we go. Sorry about that.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm doing.
no, you're doing good.
I'm just trying to make it bigger.
Go
That's the cover,
That's
right?
fine.
That's the cover. And all we did there was this.
I think you hit the square next to the X, right?
Yeah. See the
Where
very
the-
top line where it has your name, then a diamond, a dash next to it. It's above the blue share.
Um,
To the left, right there.
is that better?
No, I guess it did the same
I'm
thing.
not sure why it's not showing all the way up, but so struggle with me.
Yep,
Um,
we can see it if you scroll down.
That's good enough.
Thank you.
Yep.
Can you see my cursor?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So we changed the picture for the pickleball court. I'm going to flip through this fairly quickly. Anything here it's in blue like this, I added links to every place I could figure out so that in the future, if somebody had a question, they could link into that as long as those links don't change. So you see that here. Again, this is the chart showing what we can and can't fund, that kind of thing. This all goes through all the membership. The one thing we added here, everybody should attend relevant subject area trainings that are offered annually. And we just added a thing that the administrative account could be authorized to fund fees, that kind of thing, or it may be covered by the town manager's office. I did that with another committee I'm on. They paid for the registration fees to go to a meeting. So that's been added. There's all those links. We also added here on this particular page, the MGL required reserve account percentages. We added just what they were, and they're going to be set at no less than 10% unless changed by a CPC vote. I think we had discussions about that. So it's 10% or more. So it's no less than 10%. We've added the thing that it would be any kind of studies, et cetera, would be advertised publicly by an advertisement in the newspaper or on the town website. Going through quickly, I think the bigger changes that we made since the last version were summoned. we had a big discussion a while back about encumbering end of year money under the admin account. So we went through a process there that how we can encumber that kind of funding from the admin account. As you may recall, the admin account, any unused money in the admin account reverts to the undesignated fund at the end of the year. But if we can reserve the accounts and encumber them, then we can keep spending them. The example is we reserve money, $12,000 from the previous year's admin account for the appraisal of the Hanson Farm. We've reserved some funds for plaques that we'll talk about a little bit later, and also for the deed restriction on the CSC church. That money, since the church and we've agreed to not go forward with that particular project, the funds that are in that admin account for that is available for other uses at this point. But that we just added language that helps that. And some other deals that if work is in part of an overall approved project that the CPC approves for appropriation, then any incidentals should be included in the whole project. We're just not trying to say be complete in that case. We added some language in terms of the town council approval and simply said the town clerk will notify the CPC within 1 week of a council vote. So we know, so we don't have to attend the meeting, but we'll get a formal notice that they've approved a project that we may have recommended. Just an added word on signage requirements. We're saying a permanent plaque or sign must be placed at the project location upon completion of the project, giving credit to the CPA funding. We're basically trying to do what we hadn't been doing for years, is have some kind of signage recognizing the CPA's contribution. Okay, the other thing that happened is when I talked with Bridgewater Trophy, I said, can I put the town seal on there? And they said, yes, you can, but it's pretty expensive to put a town seal on one of those metal plaques. The bottom line is that we can do that, but we had to get permission from the Historical Commission and also from the Historic District Commission to use the seal on any signage that has of historical nature or whatever is done. And the town clerk has the authority to make those approvals. So we requested, and those committees gave us permission, and the town clerk has changed the table that she keeps for locations that are approved for having town seal used. So that was an adder. This is just going on with the administrative funds and when they should be spent, et cetera. We just talked about that a bit. And that's the detail that I added there. This is just Gina had asked me some time back to put something about what a municipal bond is. So we've added this text about it. That's a type of debt security. It comes from some of the language in the Mass General Law or other places. So that's just explaining what bonds are about and what we can do and not do. The chart here, we've kept the chart. It's a flow chart, a little bit small, but basically it talks to folks in the future about how the process works in terms of getting projects through, approved and through. We've added a thing that the finance department would basically dealing with invoices. We try to approve all invoices for CPC projects, but if they're not approved by the chair or designee within 8 days of the bill coming in, and that assumes we're notified of it, the bill will be paid per other town policies.
There's a typo in there.
Say again?
You know, there's a typo.
I-
On line 18. Look down at line 18.
Oh my, you're ahead of me there. Yes, where is it?
Anticipated.
Oh, you're good eye. I fixed that. So basically, we spent a lot of time with non-municipal funding. So we added a lot of text about monitoring, oversight, and fiscal control of those kinds of projects. They're non-municipal, they're private. So this is all language, and I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it, but it's all language about how it's how it's done, how invoices and bid specifications are provided, et cetera, and payments are made, project budget, and this has all been gone through the finance department review and the town manager, and they're okay with this. I'm going to stop for a second because I'm flying. And any major questions there?
Is there anything about deed restrictions? I'm not sure if I missed that, like an explanation of what a deed restriction is and a link or anything on deed restrictions? Because that seems to be the bugaboo for a number of applicants, such as the Congregational Church Group, who were
I
scared
Yeah.
of the whole idea of the deed restriction.
Yeah, I think there is, if I
Okay.
remember right.
That's a good point. Let's see if it shows up here in a little bit. I thought I had. I think I have an attachment to that effect. This just talks about anticipated revenue, et cetera, and on the categories that are allowed, et cetera. Again, a lot of those are the blue lines are links to all that information. I've added attachment 8, basically, that deals with the how appropriated funds are carried over in fiscal years. We talked about that earlier. We've also added a policy that CPA funded projects cannot be closed until the CP chair notifies the accounting department to execute the closure. We may have a couple of those tonight. I think, oh, the other thing we've had a lot of conversation with Josh about, how do we get this stuff, information out to the public? And we're in conversations with having at the CPC webpage on the town, having a project section, and each section would have each of the projects, and it would include things like the award letter, the final report, and any other major documents like that, so that we have a history of our work done there. So that's why we said a final report would be posted. What else? Okay, so now I'm to the attachments. We've included this 3-part test for nonprofits in terms of town funding going to a nonprofit. We've included an exhibit that provides guidance on grant agreements. This is an award letter template. We've just updated that a little bit. So I've added that, but I've also, what I did is I added the actual language there. So it's, if it's a PDF, you can actually see the language. We're almost there. Attachment 3 is the budget calculation spreadsheet that we go through each year. As you know, the finance department provides this, and we had questions a year ago. So we've included that in the document now, and there's actually a spreadsheet in this particular one which you can open up. There's the bonding capacity debt service spreadsheet. This is just an example. We may have a conversation about that a little bit later tonight. So we've added that documentation. Digitization, that's a big issue, and so there's a bulletin about digitizing records that's been put forward, and so I've added a link to that. And this goes about, it's the guidance from the Department of Revenue in terms of CPC, CPA funds, and so I just cut that in here, highlighted a couple paragraphs that are relevant, and so far we're not running across a deed thing, so I'm going to keep flipping through that, and I think affordable housing eligibility. There was a lot of conversation and questions about affordable housing, and this is a text that describes what is or isn't done. It all comes from the notice from the Department of Housing and Community Development. And this is the attachment that I added in terms of the fiscal year encumbrance policy. And this last page is our use of the town seal. I added that. And to be honest with you, I think for Bill's, I'll do some research and try to put together a section on the meaning of deed restrictions and do's and don'ts, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my action to do that. And then what the hope is that you guys will have a bit more ability to look at it, make more questions, and then hopefully we can finalize and vote it next March.
Very good. Thank you, Carlton. Lot of work went into that. Carlton, if you can just do a search, I thought there was something in there for deed restrictions, but if not, we may have talked about it. Can you just do a search to make sure if it's there or not there, and if it's not there, add something in?
I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my screen free here.
Okay, no, I just said that if you can search the document for a section on deed restriction. I know we talked about it. I'm not sure if it's still, if we actually put it in. I thought we did, but if it's not there, could you add something in?
Yes, I will do that.
Okay, good. Thank you. Any
How do I stop
questions?
sharing this thing? There it is.
Any questions or comments for Carlton?
Well, this certainly represents yeoman's work, Carlton and Gina. I mean, it's very, very comprehensive, and I guess it will be our members' Bible as we proceed in the future. I guess my question about it is, who is the audience here? That's always a very important question to ask. Who is the audience? I mean, are we expecting the general public to read this document, or is it just for town officials and for members of the committee? I mean, one would almost have to be an accountant to absorb some of this detail. So my question is, who's really the audience? Because if it's for the general public, I'm not sure it's going to work. It certainly works, and it's important. There's no question about that.
Yeah, I believe it's all of the above. We needed to set policies. This started, believe it or not, as a 4 or 5 page document. Just steps that we need to set policies and procedures with the town. An example is approving invoices or getting out letters and bids and things like that. And it evolved to, as I said, all of the above that you named, plus the future CPCers after us, that somebody can pick up the document in 10 years from here and say, oh, this is how it's done.
Yes.
Or, you know, so it's trying to think of the word I want.
Can I jump in for a second?
Sure.
Basically, the main audience is the Community Preservation Committee.
Okay.
In the town, in terms of what the procedures and policies are for the CPC.
Yeah.
At the same time, when we approve it, then we're going to ask that it be posted on the CPC website.
Right.
Then it becomes a public document. That's anybody that has a question, they can be referred to that. But the primary audience is this committee and the town offices.
That's what I thought. Yeah. Okay. And as Gina says, it will be invaluable for future members of the CPC.
Right.
That's true. The last couple of meetings ago, we were talking about this. Michael actually asked the question, do we really need this? And I said, well, it's really for the future, because it took me over 2 years to figure some of this stuff out. And that's why I drove it, to get it in writing so people can at least look up something.
Yeah. Okay, good.
So that's all I had for tonight. Next month, excuse me, we'll take a vote and accept it, I hope.
Great. Thank you for Carlton again. Does anybody else have any questions or discussion? Okay, good. jumping ahead, we have Emily Williams here from the senior center, and rather than have her listen to the whole meeting, Emily, you're welcome to stay for the whole meeting. My thought is if we can have a motion to jump to under new business item A2, just so Emily doesn't have to sit through everything.
So moved. Take it out of order.
The second,
Okay. You got from Josh in the packet, and I think it's, I guess first I'm gonna ask before we jump to the, discussion. We need to vote on that. Okay, roll call, Josh, you take out of order?
Gina,
Yes.
Carlton,
Yes,
Harry,
Yes.
Bill,
yes,
Jeff,
Yes,
Maureen,
Yes,
Patrick.
Yes.
Thank you. The motion was approved.
Okay, great. You received from Josh, he had the link into the town website. We just had so many big documents to send out. Did everybody find that easier than trying to open documents the way he usually sends them? Okay. You received the application for the community guidance at the senior center. Carlton and I have reviewed it, and we've talked to Josh. A lot of lines were truncated. They didn't wrap, so we really don't know like what the end of the lines are. So Josh is going to need to, Josh or Emily, to work on it and resend it. And we did have some questions. Did anybody have a chance to read it? Thought it was a good application. It's a good idea, good concept. Another thing that's been ages in the works. Just a couple things, Emily, while you're here that we thought, I think I had mentioned to you one other time when we were talking, things like the grills and like that can't be paid with CPC money. What I thought was, and I don't know if, I know you reached out to some donors, like Home Depot, a Lowe's, those places, especially Home Depot, you walk through Carver's Pond and I think Camp Titicut, and you see things, benches that they've donated. So they might be willing to donate stuff. So if you can just show in the application when it's resubmitted on, like if you did approach any of those people, and I think I saw that there was not an invoice, but a price sheet. And I want to say it was for the raised beds that somebody was donating those, something along that line. So we did put together some questions. Does anybody on CPC members have questions on the application? Other than you couldn't read some of the lines because they truncated, which isn't anything Josh did. It's just the way it came to us.
I have a couple of questions, but I'm
Sure.
gonna have people to ask first.
I'm sorry, I haven't read it. I could not access it. Do you think someone could walk us through the application briefly? Maybe Emily, for example. Could we see anything on the screen?
Josh, can you pull that up?
Yep. Give me just a moment.
Sure.
Yeah,
And
while he's pulling up, the request for funds is from the open space and rec account. And I believe the request is for $106,500. Did I say that right? 106,500, 106,000 plus. with other funding sources at about 8,000. And the total project cost is 115,000. So that, just to give you a background, Josh, if you're ready to show it, that'd be fine.
So, so Carlton, Gina, can I just ask a question real quick?
Sure.
So I did read the application. So this appears to be for a whole landscape upgrade, or it's not just for the raised beds, correct? The 106,000. It appears to
Correct.
be the whole like patios and green space and stuff out behind the senior center. Is that correct?
It's kind of to the side when you pull it in.
Well, is it? Well, I guess the thing that I didn't see, is there a plan or a sketch or something that
That was going to be our question for you. Does the planning board have to approve anything like that?
No,
No, but for just understanding the scope of the work, is there a plan?
Okay.
Is there, has it been anything? Is this what Melissa Dejan was working on?
I'm going to jump in here. There were a number of attachments that were sent out that I have that include the landscaping concepts and that kind of thing. So I'm not.
But when you say it was sent out, not in this packet though, correct?
I didn't see the packet. I just know what I was sent.
I think, Josh, when you sent out the packet,
Well,
I know-
so I'm in the link right now, right? I'm in the packet link. It says applications received. It has Hanson's Farm as CP application for a senior center. And that's what I looked at and I downloaded. There's no plans. There's 9 pages in that document. That's all I focused on. Is there
no,
something I'm
there-
missing?
yeah, there was more. Josh, can you send out what you originally sent to Carlton and myself? Can you send that out that had all the maps and Melissa Desjardins report?
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, what might have happened is there might have just been too much.
That
With-
could be true.
Yeah, because it was almost like it was a huge file. Give me just a minute here.
Okay.
Josh, I mean, even because I honestly, I read the application and at first I'm like 106,000 for raised beds, but then I started thinking about, because I knew Melissa Dejan had some visioning sections and stuff down there. So I said there has to be more to this. So, but the only thing I saw was the 9-page application with no attachments.
Mhm. Thanks for pointing that out, Pat. Sometimes I look at things when Josh first sends them out for review. Then when he sends out the whole packet, I might not read through the whole application again because I've already seen it. So thank you for pointing that out, that it didn't carry over when the whole packet was sent out.
May I interrupt again, please?
Sure.
Let's let Emily talk about the project, please.
Okay. You're on, Emily.
You mean the passion of mine and what we phase 2 of what Melissa Desjardins did. Hi everyone, my name is Emily Williams. I'm the Council on Aging and Senior Center Director. So as I mentioned, this is part 2 of the master plan for the senior center. So after we completed phase 1, which included community focus groups and multiple opportunities for the community of all ages to provide input. A schematic design plan came out of this. So this is, I wish I could share my screen, but apparently I'm having computer issues at home. The entire project includes an intergenerational community garden. And what that name entails is, thanks Josh, this. So you can see, and the files are rather large. They haven't been condensed, but this is the entire master plan that Melissa put together for us that included the pickleball courts, which are part of the Parks and Recs department. So on the left, you can see the senior center. On the right, you can see the pickleball courts and parking lots and a road dividing the 2 areas. That road is an exit only from the Mitchell Elementary School. So right smack in between the 2, the senior center and the pickleball courts, just to the right of the senior center is a completely empty lot of land that has garden beds that have been not maintained, and vacant space. You can walk over to the elementary school from this property, and what was one of the action items that came out of these community focus groups was to incorporate some kind of an outdoor passive and active recreational activity for older adults. After further discussion, it became an intergenerational discussion and activity for the elementary school students as well as older adults. So the whole plan, and we have letters of support from the elementary school as well as the tree committee to support this project, includes redesigning the land to build a patio with 16 raised garden beds, multiple plantings, both perennial as well as annual, places to sit that are ADA. The entire project is ADA accessible. There's ADA accessible garden beds. There's traditional raised garden beds, and then there's little garden beds for the younger folks to plant fruits and vegetables and herbs, which the senior center will maintain and incorporate community programming in. It's a wonderful way to engage the public, to kind of go to the senior center as a space that's welcoming for all ages, all abilities. And we are also interested in a small section for a dementia sensory garden. I wish I could flip through to the remainder of the PowerPoint, but there is one plan. Oh, thanks, Josh. The next slide. The next slide. And the next slide. Keep going to the schematic plan of the community garden, please. Thank you. So this is what was designed in phase 1 from Melissa and her team. If you can, we can send, so as part of the package that was emailed as part of this CPC submission, there's larger detailed photos as well as plant specimens and recommendations from Melissa for the entire landscape project. So you can see we're requesting funds for the garden patio, continued funding for the raised garden beds. We have $2,500 from the AARP community impact grants. We have $6,000 from the tree committee, which has to be approved by the town manager, of course, but to provide beautiful new plantings. And you can see the specimens are listed on this plan, as well as the ADA accessible furniture and benches, and not the grills. We can remove that from the request.
So very quickly, in the center of that document where you see the curved set of green pieces next to the 2 trees at the top, those are the gardens, right?
Yes.
And then there's a number of tables and the pavers that are down below.
Yes.
Thank you.
And there's nothing there now, right? You said this was just a
Correct.
grass area.
There are no benches outside in this area. There are no areas to congregate to. It's not safe. We have part of this plan. So part of this plan is also to. We received a MEMA grant for a generator, so to kind of protect that, which is right smack in the center near the patio area. So beautiful plantings to kind of cover up that. But it really makes for a lovely place for all ages to come and, if you're wheelchair bound, you can sit and relax and watch, or clip some trimmings of basil, and grow a garden. If you're completely independent with mobility, you can also participate. And we want more people of all ages to come to this area. And again, the senior center will be maintaining all of this.
So Carlton, can I ask a question? Gina, can I ask a question to Emily?
Okay, go ahead.
So, I mean, the plan looks great. That original slide we showed was much more comprehensive. It showed like, it shows some outdoor, it looked like stadium seating to the left of behind the building and some other things. But what we're voting on, or what we're considering, is all of this work that's shown currently on the screen, not all that other stuff at this point. Is that correct?
Correct.
So the 106,000 is gonna cover everything that we see on the screen right now, all these plantings, this patio, the raised beds. It's gonna, Emily, am I correct to assume that that's all, this is all gonna be covered?
100%. The quote we have is a few months old, and we realize that there is supply issues still. I believe I've heard, but we have multiple vendors who are very excited to work with the senior center. We have other grants to beautify and improve the other parts of the grounds. So not a part of this project, but the request does include a little bit of cushion in case those the quotes that we received 6 months ago changed, increased, decreased, that kind of thing.
Thank you.
Mhm. Good, thank you. Any other questions or
I've got,
comments?
I've got 3 or 4.
Go ahead.
$6,000 or whatever it is from the tree committee. That seems like a lot of money for a few trees and shrubs. Is that a realistic number?
Yes, the quotes that we have from Melissa included the specimens. I apologize, I don't have access to my computer, which is right here, but it does include perennials. So they will be, purchased and grow over the years. It includes all of the mulch as well as the plantings.
So the tree committee is agreeing to fund any kind of plants that are going out there and some of the mulching, that kind of thing. Is that the point?
Yes.
I think that needs to be specified a little bit better in the, because I think of trees as trees, not shrubs, not plants.
Carlton, are you saying 6,000? I think the cost of trees right now, I think 6,000 is almost nothing. You think it's a lot?
I don't know. I have no idea, but it seems like a lot to me, but I may be wrong.
I
It
mean,
includes the labor as well.
I mean, just looking at these,
Ah.
just looking at these plantings here, though, I mean, all these perennials and shrubs and trees, I would assume that that's gonna cost more than 6,000 to be planted, correct?
Yeah, I agree.
Mhm. I think Carlton brought up a good point, and Emily, I believe you answered it too. I think the same thing. The tree committee gives money for trees. But as long as they'll cover all the perennials, I think perennials are outstanding anyways. But as long as they cover that, that's good to know.
Yeah, my point is simply that whether the number is high or low, it needs a little bit more specification than just the tree committee gave X money. I like, because this has to go before the council at some point, and we need that specificity so that they are informed, and we're doing the due diligence right now. I have another question, but it's maybe a bit more serious. You're going to bring elementary kids over to interact with seniors. Will the seniors be quarried? Because it's required, as I understand it, people that interact with kids like that need to have a quarry review. And I just am a little bit concerned about not having thorough vetting of everybody that's interacting.
If it's on the school property, yes. If it's off school property, there's permission slips that go out. We have multiple intergenerational programming events with the elementary and the middle and the high school students, and there's no quarry required. It's permission by their parents.
That's great to know. I'm not educated on that, and you've done that. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet.
I noticed there's a reference to, I can't see the whole line, planters with organic. Is that soil, or what is that? Organic potting soil. So the whole thing will be organic, I take it.
We hope
The beds.
that could be up for discussion because the programming hasn't been planned, but our intent is to be as organic as possible. Realizing that's a little bit more expensive, but the trees and the shrubs will not be, but it depends on who's planting what in what bed. So the dirt, for example, in some of these beds may not be organic because there may be a group interested in providing their own dirt and soil for the beds.
What about pesticides? Will chemical pesticides be used, or will they be organic?
I hope not.
Because
One
that's
of the
important.
requirements for the AARP community grant, the community impact grant, was to go through 6 educational workshops about community gardens. And a lot of the education and the knowledge that we learned was about, it's a community garden. It's not your garden. It's shared space amongst groups and individuals of all ages. So say someone is spraying Roundup on one bed, it could, the wind could carry it over to the next bed. And we don't want that at all because of the chemical implications. And we're working with young people as well as a
Exactly.
vulnerable population. So we don't want to, get anybody hurt.
So you will have to publish some kind of guidelines and policies for the general public who may want to use these beds, I assume, right?
Absolutely. Yep.
Good.
Yep. We use a great document, which I can share with folks later from the AARP Foundation about what to do and how the community impact really works.
Emily, can I just make a request? And it was looking at the application for funding where it says, I believe other funding, I'm not sure the exact title. And it says a private grant for $2,500. When that gets resubmitted to us, can it specify AARP so that we know you did go out to an organization and it's not, Joe Bananas down the street just gave $2,500.
Absolutely. Yep. Absolutely.
Actually name who you got it from. I think it said a government grant. If you can just be specific with that for the tree.
Okay.
The tree donation. And I have a question, Carlton, you might be able to answer it. Tables, chairs, bid cafes, lighting, would those not be covered by CPA funds?
I don't know the answer to that. That's a question. Here's another thought I had on that, excuse me, that particular topic. When the Music Alley was funded by CPC, they contributed, but the individual who worked to get that in place actually went out to Home Depot and got major funding and actually tables and that kind of thing from Home Depot. And there's a number of large firms in this town that potentially could do that. So one of the things I was going to ask is, have you gone out to some of the local businesses to get donations to cut the cost down a little bit? I think that this project is the kind of thing that they would really like to dig into. So that's one request I'd like to have is next month. I don't think we're going to be able to take a vote tonight, but I'd like to, because of some of the updates we need to have. But I think that would be really helpful if you could go out to some of these organizations and work with them to get donations. I think of FW Web, I think of Home Depot, Ashmont actually put for Music Alley, they actually contributed the frame that goes in front of it and has all of that. That was no cost to the town or anybody. So that's my request on that particular part.
And as far as the lighting, kind of following the same thing that Carlton just said, the lighting, I believe the football field and the girls softball field, at Legion Field, were funded by, was it Northeast Electric? It was an electric company that actually had a contest for a couple years, and Bridgewater won both times. So reaching out to the electric companies, I mean, this isn't big money compared to what to light the football field was, the girls softball. They might be willing to donate something too. The other thing to watch for is if one specific item, and I'm kind of just scanning down here and it doesn't look like anything falls into that, but just to watch the bidding laws. If there's something that needs to be bid. As I said, just looking down the cost list here, it doesn't appear there is, but we just need to keep that in mind too.
What's the cutoff for the bidding, Gina? As far as if it's under a certain amount, it doesn't require. If it's over a certain amount, what is that amount? Do you know?
Off the top of my head, I know it's changed from when I used to do it. It goes up to.
I think it's under 10,000, you could do a phone call. If it's
Ah.
under 20 or 25,000, you need to advertise and get bids, and if it's something on that order. This
Right.
project is high enough that they'll have to go out to bid.
We will have to go out to bid
And-
for the
and-
patio specifically.
And that's the other thing. Can you get some updated budgeting quotes for some of this stuff? I saw that they were last fall. And given everything else, is it possible to actually try to get some budgeting quotes so we have a more accurate number? I just don't want the senior center to have to come back to us for more money because we didn't do all the due diligence. So that would be one other request I have.
Mhm. And if you could talk to the one who would be ideal for this, but is no longer with us, Charlie Simons. God bless him. He would know everything. But reach out to Jim Small for Parks and Rec about pavers, things like that, that might be on state contract or on a contract. And Jim might be able to help you out with that part too.
Yep, they're very involved with the project.
Good, good. It's a great Parks and Rec department. But, okay, any other comments or questions on the application? One of the, I say my last thing, but I'll probably come up with something else on it. There is a letter attached from the principal of the Mitchell School and about how it's intergenerational. And it may be on your application and in the lines that were just truncated, that we can't see it. But it didn't say anything about making it, at least that we could see, that it was an intergenerational project. If that could just be added, and as I said, it may already be there, and we're just not seeing it, so the lines were cut off.
Okay.
Okay,
So Carlton and Gina, I guess I'm confused. What are we really waiting for to approve this application? Are you
we
sure?
need to, the lines that are cut off to see what it says. Basically, for me, that's it. We did make some, and to change the funding, because it just says private donation and government donation. We need to,
My biggest concern, Pat, is the quotes are way out of date and they could go down or they could go up. So I'd like to see a bit better budgeting.
Right, but if they have to come back, bids could go down, right? And they wouldn't need all the money to return it. If bids go up, they'd have to come back to
What
us.
happens if they need more money?
Well, then they'd have to come back to us to find another funding source.
I hear you, and I think they can reduce the amount of money if they get some donations, and that's why I don't want to vote on it tonight. I want to see if we can get some reductions, and maybe the landscape budget. So otherwise, I'm not comfortable with sending some out to the town council for recommending to town council to vote on something that's it's 90% done, but another 10% it'll be a really fantastic project.
Well, I guess my only concern is we're not going to meet again until the end of March.
correct.
If we're trying to get this done in the planting season, right, this spring,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if we want to kick it. I mean, if we approved it tonight, when would it go to the council? A couple of meetings from now?
Right, it may make, they didn't meet
I
last.
mean, you don't want to be planting stuff in the summer. And then that would delay it to the fall. I'm just trying to think, you know, for the senior center to get this done.
It should be. We do it in March, it's approved in April. They could start right away once the council approves it.
If you want to go down that road, then I would suggest that CPC consider increasing the amount that we recommend in the hopes that it would come in much less than that.
Well, why do we have to increase it? If there's an issue, they can come back to us, or they can get donations and do. I mean, if they're asking for a certain amount of money and they have bids to support that, and they think those bids are still valid. I
Have
mean,
we ever awarded any applicant more money than they were asking for?
We've rounded off. We haven't.
Well,
we've
rounding off,
We've awarded more, but it's basically just to make it a round off figure. Emily, did you say you built a cushion into this? Into the
Yes,
project?
because we do anticipate community donations. I don't know the amount of that, though.
Okay, my concern is when I send off to the town council, if we approve something, I send a letter asking that it be put onto the council agenda. I include the application. To me, I mean, I know what the idea is for it, but to read the first couple lines of that application, it doesn't tell me anything. The lines are cut off. And I mean, we can approve it, and I can ask Josh or Emily to fix it before I send it to the town council. But to send them something that you can't read the gist of it, and it's nothing that Emily or Josh did wrong. It's
well,
just the
Gina,
way the
why couldn't if it's something the board wants to vote on tonight, and if it's something they want to approve,
Mhm.
why couldn't we vote on it pending you and Carlton reviewing the final application for accuracy prior to sending to the council?
We could do that. It's
Up
up
to
to
the committee.
would
It's
Emily,
entirely
if
up to
we
the
hold
committee.
off till March, how does that affect you? Where did you look to start the project?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
I guess it's a two-part question. When did you look to start the project and consider the planting? And if we held off to vote at the March meeting, it would probably go through the council in April. And you should be set to start in May.
Yep.
So how would,
That's exactly the timeline, with completion within 6 weeks.
oh, good.
6 weeks from
We
now?
have- Fortunately, we have the vendors located. Of course, we have to go out to bid for the larger ticket items, but we've got the beautiful thing about this project is tremendous community buy-in from the senior population as well as friends of the senior center. Sorry. And a very energetic staff to get this project really going. And we have the capacity at this time to get the project going. To be able to go out to get the quotes again will take some time. And I don't know if I can get it back in time for March, but the tree committee is very excited about this. I know Michael, the town manager, is very excited, and we do have, some momentum building. And we're always seeking out additional funding sources. So if, other nonprofit as well as state funded grants come down the pike, be sure that I'll be applying for them.
I
My
think-
job.
I think the application needs to say, other applications that the town has submitted have actually put in, grants will be applied for, et cetera, they're pending. So at least we know there's a possibility of reducing it.
Now, you're saying 6 weeks from, if we wait till March to approve it, as I said, it would go through the council. I would send it right away to the town council to be put on their agenda. They have to do their first reading and their second reading, which would put it probably to the end of April.
Correct.
They approve it right away. I'm not sure. I can't say when people plant, because I usually plant my stuff late. I only buy my plants in May. This year I'm attempting to start them myself, but I may still end up buying if they don't start good. Would that give you know, Patty had a good question on the planting season. Would that give you sufficient time?
Well, you know, this is a vegetable garden thing, and the real work is going to be the pavers and the landscaping and getting the trees in. The garden, you can't do anything with the planters until you actually get everything in place. There's going to be lead time in getting all that stuff in. So you're literally looking, even if you started next month, you're looking at 2 months, 3 months into the middle of summer before you can even start having planting. So right now, I'm in the position that I want to get as much information as we can before we vote on it.
I agree. But it's up to the committee if they feel we should vote now and have Josh and or Emily even put an attachment page to show what was cut off. As I said, I, as chair, or even as a committee member, wouldn't feel comfortable sending something to the council to say, approve this, what the whole description's cut off, that we can't see it.
But surely that's just a computer glitch that can easily be remedied. I mean, I can't imagine
Right.
that's an
Right.
omission on Emily's part.
That's why I said even an attachment, a separate page could be put on to show this is what was cut off. If
Yeah,
we,
and I can, Gene, I can turn that around like real quick. That's not a
okay,
problem.
if it were voted on tonight, well, we'd have to vote an amount, and there's a lot of things in there that may not be covered. Like the grills, we'd have to check the lighting, things like that. So we don't, if we voted, was it 106,000, whatever your amount was, if we voted that, there's things in there that wouldn't be covered. So that would almost give you open reign to spend the money on stuff that we're not approving. I know you wouldn't do that, but that's,
So we've had somebody else in town do that, and we've had to
yes,
have money taken back. given back.
yes, yes.
There were improper use of some of our money for some projects that we had to deny it when the invoice came in, which, by the way, CPC chair by policy reviews all invoices that come in that we are supposed to pay.
And these are not arbitrary decisions that we're making here. I mean, we're bound by mass general law and statutes and all kinds of legalities. I mean, we are not making personal arbitrary decisions about expenditures.
Right. We could say, if we wanted to vote on it tonight, we could take the amount and deduct off the benches. I would like to get an opinion from the coalition about a couple of the other things on it, the lighting, for example, the bird, what were they? It didn't say bird cages, bird something.
Cafe.
Yes, I had to ask Carlton what they were. You know, things like that. So if we put a dollar amount on tonight, I wouldn't want to vote for the whole 106,000 or the amount that was requested, because we know that there are things that aren't covered. We could deduct them off, as I said, but then there's other things that are in question. So at that point, do we include them? Do we take them off? I think that whole part's an issue too. My thought is, if it's not going to affect the time-wise, I see what Pat's saying and others for planting season and getting things done, the pavers and such. If it's not throwing her off to wait until the March meeting, that would be my preference. But again, it's up to whatever the committee decides.
So I'm gonna say, unless somebody puts a motion forward for this to accept it and recommend it, then we're gonna have to wait until March.
Thank you.
I would say, this is Maureen, I would say that there's too many unanswered questions that you need to work through. And it's unfortunate of the timing, but we do have a responsibility with the money. I'm sure something will be done for sure down at the senior center. But we have to be responsible for what we're doing, so we need the answers to the questions before we approve money. My humble opinion.
Mhm. Any other thoughts?
I had one,
Sure,
if we
Jeff.
would, it's Jeff, if we wait to vote, would we have to wait a whole month? Couldn't we have as like a special meeting?
We could do that. We've done that in the past, have a special meeting. That would work.
That
just
seems a pretty good compromise.
Good point. Thoughts on that?
I think that's a good idea. Because they're just going to run out of time to get this all together. I mean, I don't see how it can be done in 6 weeks. If some of these things have to go out to bid and so forth. And I'm sympathetic with Emily and the senior center in that regard, that I wish we could get it going in some capacity, because everything always takes longer than one thinks it will.
Good. Josh, can I ask that you put something together, as you said it, or you said you could do it quickly, and I trust you in that. And we could in the meantime be looking into to make sure things like lighting and the bird things like that would be covered, for sure. And we could just call a quick some afternoon, just a quick, 15-20 minute, half-hour meeting tops, just to vote on this, so we're not holding you up. And we can check the council schedule to make sure we get it in time for one of the next meetings without waiting for April.
Yep, they meet next week, so we just want to, maybe we could get it worked on and voted next week, and then it'd be on their second meeting in March.
Okay,
And I
would
think-
that work?
I think the second meeting in March may be a week after that, because because of the election next Tuesday when they were normally scheduled, I think they had to flip it back a week, and so just check their schedule, because there's been some changes because of the election next week.
Oh, okay. Yep, I'll definitely do that then.
Okay, how does that work for the rest of you? Just as Jeff suggested, calling a quick meeting, getting the figures. I'm not, and I know.
If it's next Wednesday, we have planning board, but I mean, I don't need to be there if there's enough people.
Okay, yeah, I'm always conscious if I'm doing something on a Wednesday, it's like, okay, it can't be the first or third Wednesday for planning board. And I try to take into consideration other people's meetings too. Okay, where was it again? Oh, for the bid quotes, if they're off a little, it'd be nice if you could get new ones, Emily, if you can't. I know it's gonna be tough for it. Lots of times they'll put the quotes are good for X number of days or whatever. You could maybe just call them, or have one of your staff just call and say, would your quote still hold? Just to look at
I'm
that.
not trying to be a bad guy here, but some of this stuff that's in here has dates back in October, November, January.
Well, January is only last month.
So
Okay.
anyway, are we going to move forward with a motion, or are we just gonna postpone and take it up in a special meeting? So then I
That
would
would be
move
my
that we
thought.
hold, I would move that we hold a special meeting within the next 2 weeks to go over revised cost estimates, et cetera.
I'll second it.
Okay, discussion?
I will not be available the 14th and the 15th of March, but I mean, you can always have a meeting without me. I'll be available earlier that week.
Here's the question, are people available daytime?
Sorry?
Are folks available during the daytime? There's
I am.
nothing because we have to meet at evening. We can meet in the daytime. If we have to, we can try to push for an in-person meeting. There's lots of options.
Okay, Jeff or Pat,
For me,
Are you
Council,
sure?
I can log in on my phone anytime, so if it's Zoom.
okay, Pat, how about you?
daytime the next couple of weeks is gonna be tough, so, no.
Okay, but you could do early evening, right?
Right.
Okay, we can have Josh send something out just to get days that are good for folks.
So I'm gonna call the question.
Okay, Josh, roll call. Oh, Josh is gone. I'm sorry.
Nope, I'm still here. I can,
Oh,
um,
okay,
yep, I can do it
Okay.
for you. Gina,
yes,
Carlton,
Yes,
Harry,
Yeah.
Bill,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes,
Maureen,
Yes,
Pat.
Yes,
Thank you. The motion was approved.
great, thank you.
I am gonna head
Okay.
out after that one though.
Okay, Carlton, host, co-host, well, okay, we're both
Yep.
co-hosts, good. Okay, great, thank you, Josh.
Yep, have a
Thank
good
you,
evening.
everybody, Emily, for the discussion. Any questions, just reach out.
Thanks, everybody.
I'm
Okay.
gonna move, I'm gonna move to take the Hanson application out of order.
Okay. Do we have a second?
second,
Is that Jeff?
yes.
Okay, discussion? None, roll call, Gina, yes, Carlton,
Yes,
Jeff,
Yes,
Harry,
Yes.
okay, Maureen,
yes,
Pat,
yes.
and Bill,
Yes.
okay. Sorry about that, my house phone never rings, and of course, it's gonna ring constantly that I'm sitting next to it.
To move this forward fairly quickly, we don't have enough information to vote on this tonight, so it's just the first review of it. So I would ask if people have questions, if they've had a chance to read it. Have you, A, have you had a chance to read it? B, do you have questions?
Okay, has everybody had a chance to read it?
So Carlton, the plan I saw doesn't show any wetlands, which I guess really doesn't matter. But the other, we don't have a conservation restriction to review, and we still cannot see the appraisal, is that correct?
Right.
Correct.
Let me try to give you some background. The appraisal was done. The town has applied here now because they started negotiations with respect to the conservation restriction price, all that kind of stuff. The price is not public at this point because I don't even know what the agreement is. But basically, when we met with the town manager last week, what the outcome was that the conservation restriction is being worked on by the town attorney, and again, they'll be negotiating with the Hansons in terms of the conservation restrictions, the public benefits, access, that kind of thing. The second thing is that the bonding of, we will likely have to bond this. The bonding scenario that was provided indicates that we would have enough money annually coming in from the town's surcharge to cover a bond that might be, it's a 5% 20-year bond, I think they're looking at. We have enough money to cover that bond going forward. So those are some of the things that we haven't gotten checked off yet. And there may be some other, the town manager in his application indicates that they will be looking for a couple of other grants. One's up to $500,000 to offset the price of this. There's some other things that are in the works. Because of the lack of information, this is really just a first reading for us as far as I'm concerned.
I
Right.
totally agree.
Right, and the town manager hoped to have something for our March meeting that would have the price and have the conservation restriction in place. So as we said, it was just more of an informational to get out so you can see what the application itself will be.
And I think you saw, at least I think that had in the application, there's a very detailed adder because of the problems that with the template we use. There was a very detailed project description. It talks about all the goals. It meets all of the goals of our open space plan. It meets several other things in terms of preserving farmland. So it has a very positive output. There's also an ecological side to that the farm does a lot of ecological things. It also provides one of the rivers and streams in town basically starts on the south side of that property. So again, the plot plan is pretty detailed as to what they're keeping in the property and out of the property. So this is the first time just to start the discussion, but we are still missing a lot of information. I actually want to ask the town manager that somebody from the CPC sit in on the negotiations rather than it just being by the town administrator and town manager and then lawyer.
I had Carlton, that meeting that the town manager had with the different committees that were involved with the Hanson's farm. I had asked that when he said Attorney Rollins would be doing the negotiations. I had asked that a member of CPC or member of another committee could be present. The answer was no. Basically, not because they didn't want anybody. They said that Attorney Rollins would be fine negotiating. We could ask that question again, that
Well,
request.
I'm in the past when we've done this kind of thing, the CPC sat at the negotiating table.
Right.
I mean, we're footing most of the bill, right?
All of it.
All,
Unless we get reimbursements.
Right,
Yes.
of the grant, because there is a land grant they're looking at for that, or,
The
But-
other reason I'd like to do that is so we can move this forward. There's a tendency, quite frankly, to drag feet a little bit. So I want to keep this moving forward because it's a really important project.
very important,
Okay.
absolutely.
But it's up to the committee.
Okay.
I just, that's all I had for this particular one, just moving us forward.
okay, and I can send something to the town manager. Again, requesting that somebody from CPC be in on the negotiations.
And also formally asking what the status is of the negotiation, asking what the status is on the conservation restriction, all the other things that he's doing. We'll meet with him in March, but we need to move it forward more quickly.
Okay, good. I'll put something together and send it out to him tomorrow.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else on Hanson's? Okay, back to old business, back to the sequence of the agenda, old business FB project. Should be one, but, okay, project update, Styles and Hat improvements. I believe the bid has gone out for the trail work. I'm not sure if it's in. We can double check that, but they did have a bid out for it. Okay,
Put the
Hemlock
RFQ
Drive,
They put the RFQ out. The bids have not come back.
okay, okay, I didn't think they had, but I wasn't sure, thank you. And I believe, Colin, correct me if I'm wrong, we're still waiting to hear from the town manager exactly what our funds are covering.
Yes.
Okay. Good. Hemlock Drive windows replacement, I had mentioned at the last meeting that the housing authority had said they had communicated to me that they had a grant that would pay for the windows, which is what we had voted our award for. They were looking to switch it from the windows to the porticos and some other things. I spoke to the housing authority. The grant, I think it was a lean grant. I'm not sure what lean stands for, but the grants they give, they won't give for something as big as this job was. So they're happy to just continue on with the funds we gave them and use it for the windows. And look into grants for the other work that they need.
And
So-
I'll only add to that one, we need to get the grant agreement in place. The town manager, we need to get that signed off so that they know how to actually invoice us, et cetera. That's
Right.
the piece that has not been done yet.
Right, and I had held off on that when they talked about changing their whole intent, but I do have a draft for it that I can send off to Michael to be signed. Old State Farm Trails. The Kitty Doherty's group had a meeting with students from the college on Friday. I couldn't go, I was at a funeral. John Hart went from Parks and Recreation, who's the park steward. It was to go over their webpage, things like that. I think it was phases 3 and 4, maybe, of the plan. And to go over a few other things for the trails. John Hart told me afterwards that it was a wonderful meeting and he's thrilled the way the things are going there. So that's good.
I will add that there's no expectation right now that the town would be coming back to the CPC for funding.
Correct. Okay, Parthenon freeze.
Yeah, the
I think they're
freezes-
gonna be frozen before it's done.
As we've said before, the freeze were finished in August. There was a glitch a little bit in terms of how to install them in the Academy building. There was an engineering study done last October. We finally got the report less than a month ago. There is some significant work that needs to be done to install those freezes. Right now, the town is looking to have the freeze moved from the restoration company down here. But before they can be installed, we have to have this engineering done. We recommended and the town council voted over $4,000 for mounting, basically the units. But right now, I think they have to go out to bid or get somebody in that actually a professional that knows how to strengthen the areas above the entrance to the Academy building so that they can hold those freezes. That's an ongoing thing right now that I'm trying to put some pressure on to get it done sooner rather than later. Thank you. You're muted, Jean.
I just muted myself for a second. Thank you, Colin, for that update. Summer Street Mobile Station. Colin, do you want to hit on that?
I think on March.
Basically,
13th
because my mind just went blank.
Yeah, okay, on March 13th, I think there's supposed to be a public meeting, maybe by Zoom, to go over the town's concepts that they had hired Mr. Jardin to put together a plan for the reuse of that area as a park type area. So that meeting is scheduled for March 13th, I believe. I don't know if it'll get advertised, but they're going to get some public input on it. That's about all I
Good.
have, other than the fact that the money's still there because they're still dealing with getting the money distributed to the people that supposedly used to own the property. So again, that's another project that's slowly finding its way through the process.
Good, thank you. Broad Street Properties, those are the two lots next to the Chinese restaurant. That's being worked on. Attorney Rowland, the deed with the Registry of Deeds, and that should hopefully be set soon. Townhouse,
Yeah, I can update you there. Just found out today that everything's done except the town can get paid from the grant, the Mass Historic grant that was provided. I think it was 95,000. That can't be paid out until the town files a final report. The historic architect is, as of today, was working on that report so he could get it in. I communicated with him that we also need a report. Hopefully what he does will be sufficient for our report so that we can close that project out in the near future. But that's where it's at in terms of the townhouse. I'm also starting to think about what can we do to start restoring the building, particularly the basement. The basement has a water leak problem. There's still a lot of serious problems with storage, stuff just thrown around in the building. They've cleaned out a lot of stuff, but it's still over there. But there are some issues in the basement, I think, that need to be paid attention to really soon, to including the fact that there's no heat in the building. And that's not a good thing for a building. So that's where that's at.
Do we have any idea what will be going into the townhouse, or we're not that far in our planning and thinking? I know there was some talk about some kind of town museum or something like that, at least for part of the space.
Well, the cultural study was done. There was an ad hoc committee that met for some time who really pushed hard to get the building cleaned out and get some of the documents into a proper storage area. That committee is basically not operating anymore. And the reuse, they had a vision, they had some recommendations that they provided to the town council. But as of right now, I don't think there's very much movement on reuse of the building.
Yeah.
good, thank you. Any other comments or questions on any of the active projects that are updates? Okay, completed projects, final reports. I don't think, did Josh send out the final reports? He had two completed, the pickleball courts and the memorial building. Let me look quick and see if it was with his packet.
Yeah, while you're looking, we worked really hard to get he put together a fairly nice template. We worked on that. And basically it just describes briefly the scope, provides a table of the costs, the CPA and any other costs that went into it. The McElwain School also has a report that he's finalizing. I thought they were going to be distributed so we could vote to close those projects tonight.
Okay, they are both the pickleball courts and memorial building were both in the packet that
Yeah.
Josh had attached to the website.
Well,
As I said,
it's been a
and he
long
had
meeting.
sent it out.
It's
he
been a
had
long
written-
meeting. I'm hoping that people have read them. I would like to move to accept those reports and close the project accounts.
Okay, they haven't seen the McElwain, so you're talking pickleball and memorial, correct?
Pickleball and memorial. My motion is to close those, accept the reports and close the project.
I'll second it.
Okay, can we discuss something for a moment?
Sure.
I thought that we had requested some kind of like official ceremony for the restoration of the memorial building. I mean, these things just kind of happen. The building is open, it's occupied. I mean, I think it's important to have some kind of official opening, recognizing what went into the project, some kind of community-wide event. We certainly don't do enough of that in town. I'm not sure, that's not maybe our purview as the CPC, but if we have anybody who has the ear of the town fathers, I mean, that was a huge project, and we've provided a lot of funding, and we spent hours. The Historic District Commission spent hours reviewing all the plans, making all kinds of requiring all kinds of changes, and the same thing with the CPC. You know, for these, I think these projects deserve quite a bit more attention. I know they did that with the McElwain School project, but we should do something like that for the Memorial Library and for some of the other projects. I think it would be good for the community and also build kind of camaraderie with the CPC, because if it weren't for the CPC funding mechanisms, most of these projects wouldn't happen.
Hey,
I mean-
Bill, I think that's a great idea. And my suggestion is that we can mention it when we meet with Michael for our monthly meetings. But I think with CPC funded just a portion of it, I would like to suggest that the historic district and the historical
Yeah.
commission approach the town manager. I think it's a great idea to have some type of a
Yeah.
open house or something.
Something
I'm
like
not sure.
I-
Yeah, so that would be my suggestion.
I concur with that. That was my idea. If the two committees, the historic committees, could put letters into the town manager requesting an official opening and ceremony. Actually, people should see the inside, be able to tour the inside of the Memorial Library. I've been in there a
Mhm.
couple of times trying to move documents for the town clerk. They did a nice job inside as well
Yeah.
as outside.
Great.
And it was
Yeah.
really a community effort of many
Mhm.
different committees over years.
Mhm.
I'll be glad to write a letter. I hope that it gets some attention. I'll copy all of you on that. And
Well, Bill, maybe if you have a letter that you prepare, and personally, I would have both you and the historical commission, Jeff might be able to work on that. Have a letter that's co-signed by the two committees.
Yes, good
Yeah.
idea. Jeff,
can
can you
work-
bring that forward to your
Oh.
committee?
I can bring it up with David, but I'd like to invite Bill to join our next meeting, maybe talk face to face with him about it.
Good. Mhm. Good idea.
when is your next meeting?
The third Tuesday of every month. We are having a continuation of 180 Broad Street, the demolition delay on the 5th. But you might be able to talk to him after that. I don't know.
Well, I mean, he and I are in touch. I can call him.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That works.
Okay.
Yep, good. Great. Just to let you know, the pickleball courts, there's $2,090.34 left. The memorial building, they never set up a separate account for that, because what they did were funds from different areas were being used for that. They pulled it like what we approved and they put it into a whole different account, like a holding account with everything else. So there's no money left to close out on that.
Gina, I'll remind you, we're under a motion right now.
Yeah.
Right, that's part of the discussion for it. Just
Thank you.
letting you know that that's what, as a discussion, that's what we have to close out. Anything else discussion for that? Okay, hearing none, roll call, Gina, yes. Carlton,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes,
Harry,
Yes.
Jeff
Yes.
and Pat.
Yes.
Okay, great. And I will let the finance director know to close out. The pickleball courts, McKelvey School report,
We don't
Josh
have
just
it yet.
finished it up this week, so you'll have that next time. Okay, moving right on, the administrative account carryovers from FY 23, Carlton. He mentioned signage earlier in the meeting. He's
Yeah,
been
I'm still-
working with groups.
I'm still working on some things. I mentioned it earlier. I'm working on that and hopefully we can move it forward, but I'm running out of energy. Thanks.
Okay, next, that I hope we can have a motion bid on tonight. We've talked about a 5-year plan is due this year, 2024. We requested that the town, we agreed as a committee to ask the town manager to put out bids to hire a consultant to hold the sessions, open sessions, and to write the 5-year report, 5-year plan. Bids closed last Thursday. We had one response. A number of companies had inquired, but we actually had one response, which was J.M. Golson, who used to be our consultant just for our regular meetings and consulted a lot for the town. The amount of that, I know Josh sent out her proposal. The cost wasn't included because that's in a separate cost envelope. I was told that her cost was $35,000, her proposed cost $35,225, which falls way under. We had budgeted 40,000 for it, plus we still had 6,000 in the admin account. So we have plenty for that. I don't know if you had a chance to read what Josh had sent out, her whole proposal, but she's looking to start it in June and finish up in November. And that would include, I think, 3 or 4, I don't have it open in front of me, meetings with different constituencies to see what's important to them. Then a big hearing to put it before the public, and then we would, as a CPC, vote to accept it. What we were thinking was, and we have to talk to Jen Golson. She had, as I said, in her proposal said to start in June. We were thinking to have a kickoff at our May meeting, which is May 22nd, for Jen to come for just part of it, drop into the meeting, talk about just a quick what she's going to do, and start that as a kickoff. So I'd entertain a motion to accept her proposal and sign the contract. We have to have the contract signed by April 1st.
I move that we inform the town manager that we recommend signing the contract and using the $35,225 out of the administrative account 324100. Oh, no, I got the wrong account. Correct that. It's administrative account 530000.
Good.
3000 admin account. The motion is to recommend signing the contract.
Second.
Okay, Harry. Okay, so inform the town manager that we recommend. Or can we modify that, Calvin, just to say that we accept her proposal and recommend that he has signed the contract?
It's a friendly amendment that I accept.
Okay,
Harry?
now if I write it down, right, I think I got it. Okay, good. Discussion?
This would be an annual expenditure, I take it, right? The $35,225.
Well, just this year, the Mass General Law says we have to have a 5-year plan, obviously every 5 years.
Yep.
The last one we did, I think, was in 2019.
So
So it's
it's-
every 5 years you have to do it. As
Yeah.
we also have, we're held to have an annual public hearing. And we had opted as a committee a number of months back to combine the two. So we have the hearing for the 5-year plan. It will also include the annual public hearing.
Yes, and
So-
to answer your question, it's a one-time expenditure this
Yeah.
year. They'll come back up in 5 years from now.
Right.
Does that mean the company will participate in the annual public hearing every year, or just no?
Just this year, just this
No.
year.
Just okay.
Okay. Roll
think
call.
it's-
Oh, I'm
Yeah, I
sorry,
think it's
Bill,
money
go
well.
ahead.
I think it's money well spent. I mean, this is a huge amount of work, and
Mhm.
I mean, this is a volunteer army that we've got here. And I mean, I can't imagine too many people like Gina and Carlton who would be willing to put this amount of work into these documents.
That's
Uh,
why
I
we
mean-
hired somebody.
We have to do it. There's no.
Just so you know, again, if you think forward, we have potentially addressing one of the major open space commitments in the town. We've got an application.
Yeah.
So looking forward 5 years, what would we do? It's really important right now because housing is such a critical issue in the state of Massachusetts and the
Yep.
country. That's a critical element. And then also we've got, as we spoke earlier, the townhouse needs some serious work. And so we've got historical money that we may need to be accessing. So I think that plan needs to really focus in on those two elements versus and maybe some recreational things that are potential with it. But I think the plan needs to focus on that. And that's one reason why I'm asking for a kickoff meeting in May.
Good idea.
Mhm. Great, good. I think a number of you probably have already met Jen Golson. She's excellent to work with. She's written so many plans for towns. It was all in her proposal that was sent out. Okay, moving on, we've already done the new
Did
business
we vote on the
committee.
motion? Did we vote on the motion?
Yes, we did.
Thank you. My head's gone.
No, we didn't. We did
We
not vote.
didn't? Oh,
No.
I'm sorry. Roll call, Gina, yes. Carlton,
Yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Maureen,
Yes,
Harry, Jeff,
Hey. Yes.
and Pat.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes for Jeff.
Okay, good, thank you. We have been meeting for a while, so if you'd like, we can just jump over liaison reports for tonight. Unless somebody has something they really want to say about their committees.
Well, I want to talk a minute about the Historic District Commission's position. I went to the town council meeting a couple of weeks ago to express some concern regarding this Massachusetts Communities Legislation law and the zoning changes within the half-mile radius from the new proposed commuter rail station in Bridgewater. I had heard that that the expedited zoning processing would virtually eliminate consideration by the Historic District Commission because we are within that half-mile radius from the commuter rail station, the new one coming up. And I consulted the Department of State and Massachusetts Historical Commission and learned that even if these new zoning laws are passed, I think they may have been passed recently by the town council, that the Historic District Commission approval process would have to take place. That the zoning laws do not trump, unfortunate word, historic district bylaws. So that was very good news, because otherwise the new zoning laws are going to expedite the permitting processes and circumvent most of the committee's approvals, like planning board, and or at least those committees' involvement will be reduced. So this is good news for the Historic District Commission and the Historic District, that whole area will be preserved, and we'll have to go through the regular review process before anything's done. So that's the update from the HDC.
Good. Thank you, Bill. That's good to know. Pat, can I just ask you one question for the planning board? I'm not sure, and I try to listen to your meetings. I try to listen to the others. And I'm not sure if I missed it. The issue of 6-story buildings, is that before the planning board now? Or where does that stand?
No, the form-based code came to us for a non-binding recommendation, and
Mhm.
that's what Bill's talking about.
Right.
The town has posted, I believe Carlton's been following it, that there is a public hearing on that form-based code on March 12th. Prior to that public hearing, it comes to planning board and the CED committee. The planning board sent back 6 comments or revisions that we'd like them to consider. And
Mhm.
one of them was reducing the height from allowing 6 stories in certain locations to only 4. So they can make that amendment. And if you support that and think that, you should send letters or go to the council meeting if you're okay with 6-story buildings. That's currently what's in there, but there is a hearing on it on March 12th. The planning board recommended cutting the height down. But what the council does will probably depend on the public hearing.
Okay, great. Thank you.
That's good news.
Yeah, I think.
Very
6
good news.
I think
I think that if, I don't know if they'll adopt our recommendation or not. I think that they may not. So I think if you're concerned about that, you should contact some counselors and ask for it to be. The rest of the district is 4 stories.
Mhm.
You know, we voted for the form-based code because there's a lot of good things in there. There is great design standards. I mean, I think, you know, it'll really drive quality development. So I didn't want to vote against it for that. A couple of things that I didn't agree with. But one of our recommendations was to cut the height down from 6 stories to 4. Now, in order to do 6 stories, you had to have a 4-acre lot or 160,000 square feet, so just shy of a 4-acre lot. So there's not a lot of those downtown. So it would only happen in limited places, but we still felt that any building that's 6 stories didn't belong down there. That was just the take of the planning board. So, Gina, to answer your question, it's not before us. We made our recommendation, but now it's before the council and they hear it on the 12th.
Okay, so if we agree with the planning boards to decrease the size, we should write to the council.
Correct.
Council.
But the document states that on properties over 160,000 square feet, and if they're behind other buildings, they can be up to 6 stories high. Everywhere else in the district, they have to be either 3.5 or 4. So if you have concerns, I would write to councils, but we already submitted our letter.
And
Okay,
I will
great.
I
Thank you.
will add that the document that's been sent to advertising is actually, if you go to the town's website and you scroll down just a little bit, there are 3 boxes. The right-hand box, you can click on that and click on the links in there, and you can actually go to the document that's the town council will be finally considering.
Great, thank you.
Do you think we should take a position on this, or is it not within our purview to do that? that as a community preservation committee, we are in favor of the buildings being 4 stories as opposed to 6? Do you think that that would be appropriate for us to do? And would I think it would have some weight. We're a very important committee in town. I don't know how others feel about that, whether we've done anything like that in the past. But these changes are really monumental in terms of the townscape and how Bridgewater is going to look for the next 100 years or so.
Mhm.
I'm-
Go ahead, Scotland.
I'm gonna jump in. I want to hear other people too also, but I'm gonna say, I don't particularly think the CPC has a role to play. As private citizens, you do. But the 6-story thing, you have to understand, it would be at the, if it were to come into play, it would be, and where the Roach Brothers is, it would be only allowed in the back half of it, and you might have 3- and 4-story buildings in front of it. A 6-story building. So some people argue that that's not a bad visual look. Other people will say it is a bad visual look. But my personal opinion is, you asked the question, is no, I don't think we should, as a committee, take where I would take a position is more on the housing requirements, affordable housing. And that's another reason why I think we need to have our 5-year plan updated, especially related to housing. That's where I think we make the position.
Do we even have a housing committee anymore?
No. Well, there is
That
one,
tells you where the town's values are. If we don't
There-
even have a committee,
right,
that's
there
crazy.
We do
is,
not have a
there-
housing trust committee anymore at
Right.
all. And the town manager told us at the last meeting that his intent is to take that committee and the housing partnership committee, merge them in some way in the administrative code. That's what I know.
and with no housing trust committee, we're missing a representative on CPC that unfortunately we have to count as a member.
I'm on it. We haven't met in 3.5 years.
Okay, so you were on it, Pat? Are you still on it?
Allegedly, I have to disclose outside activities to my employer.
Mhm.
But Lisa Sullivan left about 3.5 years ago, and we haven't met since. So
Right.
I couldn't tell you if I'm on it or not, but my outside disclosure for my securities license shows that I'm on it.
Mhm.
It's
Okay.
embarrassing. It's kind of embarrassing.
Well, as long as you've not been told you're not on it, you're still on it,
Right,
as far as I understand.
I mean, I don't even know if it's in existence. I mean, it's ridiculous.
well, when I've asked that, I've been told it still exists, but nobody's meeting. But on the same realm, we know that Old Scotland Links is run by a management company, but if you look at the town site and under recreation, the golf commission still exists. It really,
I mean, I know this isn't related, but how did that work out financially for the town? Do you guys got a report on that?
I've asked many times that I would like to see a comparison between income when the town ran it and the income with the management company. And every time I've asked, and I've asked through Parks and Rec, the chairperson to look into it. I've asked the town manager multiple times on my own that I would like to see it. And every time I ask, I'm told, oh, it's an easy report. And I still haven't seen it. And it's something I'm not gonna give up on because I just have concerns that it's really paying out for it.
Yeah. I'm sure this was approved by the town council, wasn't it? The change to the management company. I mean, I'm sure that was done.
No, I don't think they didn't approve. They don't have, the town manager can do that without town council approval.
That's a huge change.
Yeah,
That-
but
that-
They,
that-
they
it's a
did
that's
it
a
without
magnet.
Parks and Rec approval too.
I'm speechless. I'm absolutely speechless.
well, that was done 2 years ago.
So, but we'll see.
And who knows, it may be a good thing. You gotta see the numbers though, right?
Well, I do.
Say that
I do
again,
know the
Pat,
town
I'm
had a lot-
sorry.
do know-
I
know-
said it may be a good thing. I mean, initially, what I heard, I thought it was a pretty good deal. I mean, I think we got a minimum of 300,000 plus a certain percentage, so. I mean, we're getting off topic, but
Right,
it would be
right.
nice, to see as a resident, it would be nice to see that.
And the
Yeah.
town no longer pays the electric bill and the propane bill out there.
Okay, that's good. Okay, any other, Jeff did, or Harry, Maureen, anything from your committees? I have nothing from Parks and Rec.
Nothing from open space.
Okay, Harry,
No, nothing.
okay, Jeff?
Could I have a question for conservation, for Harry? Did the Conservation Commission vote to approve the Claremont project based on the various EPA reports and so forth? What's the status of that approval, I guess, by conservation?
The status keeps getting changed. The next time we bring it up will be the end of March.
Okay.
The first meeting in March, we don't have a quorum.
Oh, okay. Because their
And they
volumes,
still have some paperwork that they owe us, so.
Mhm.
And Harry, you guys did approve the fire station, is that correct?
No. There's still more work to be done.
I was told today you guys approved the fire station. Is that not true?
As far as I know, we
Take it
didn't.
offline.
Well, it's coming to us Wednesday, and I was under the impression that it was approved. Were you there at the last meeting?
Yes, I was.
And as far as you know, it was not approved?
Well, we had a discussion on it. I don't know what happened on the end.
Yeah, I go back to, many times I go back to recordings to hear what was done. So you
Yeah.
can take a quick listen to that. Okay, the one thing, it's not really a committee report. Jeff and I both went and we did a tour of the Perkins Foundry, which was very, very interesting. Nothing to do with CPC, but it was an interesting tour of how they pour the iron. Okay, we have no public for public comment. The next meeting date is, other than the special meeting, Josh will send something out to get best days from folks, but our next meeting would be, let me jump back to the calendar here just to make sure I have the right date, would be March 27th. We've talked about switching it to hybrid. Somebody would have to be trained to use that room upstairs. I think it's 201B. Maybe hybrid, maybe it wouldn't be completely in person. So either hybrid or complete Zoom. But
I'm
we'll
gonna
be in touch on that.
I'm going to be advocating for it to be an in-person with hybrid option, simply because we will likely be having a pretty in-depth discussion about the conservation restriction.
I totally agree. I think the in-person meeting is just so much more productive in the end.
Yeah, how about the rest of you, Martin, Harry, Pat, Jeff?
If I can make it in person, I will, but I can't make any promises.
Yeah, but it would be, I would say hybrid. But that would be my thought.
I should be there in person, I think.
Okay. Uh, Good, I think that's it. If there's nothing else, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, second. Everybody wants to stay longer. Do we have a second to adjourn?
Second, Maureen,
Okay. Discussion? Okay, roll call, Gina, yes. We'll do this reverse this time. Pat,
Yes.
Jeff,
Yes.
Harry,
Yes.
Maureen,
yes.
Bill,
Yes.
Carlton.
Yes.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned at 8:30. Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank
for your
you.
time.
You.
Good night.
Good night.